Hi, well, hi to anyone who is watching. I wanted to make this video just to talk about well, at least my viewpoint on all that's happening in this country. Um, how it feels, or should I say, what the experience is like. Well, I can only talk about how I personally view this whole situation, and well, to be fair, anyway, let's start here. All I can say is, well, what's happening now is, well, from my understanding, anyways, it was always going to happen. This looting, rioting, protesting. Can't even call it protesting because what are they fighting for? Well, if you live in this country, you understand as well what people are allegedly fighting for, right? The main goal being to go free Jacob Zuma, but that that was a cover up. Well, from my view, anyways. Yeah, it's a it's definitely a cover up. But in terms of the experience, it's definitely something that, well, as a young South African, it's something that well, that people my age heard about from school, from our history teachers in primary, from grade 8 to grade 9. For those who continue to do history, from grade 10 to 12. They're also studying it more often in university and stuff. But it feels for most, like for many of us, it definitely does feel like it's the end. Like there's like like it feels as though um, life is slowly becoming something that is meaningless. Uh, People are with the whole thing of lockdown anyways, it's harder for people to actually go and visit each other to console, because, well, with many of us usually finding the friends who we do like, by the time we get to university, those people may live far away from us, so traveling is a bit of an issue because since Monday of this week, uh, public transport hasn't been available, right? So it's been that whole thing. And then and with that, many of us are they feeling lonely, I would say. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just firstly how what I think people are going through, right? Because usually with people, when they're in tough times like these, anyways, from what I have seen in the news, read up on, there's definitely a sense of hopelessness. Yeah, especially for people who never went through it. Um, but for those who are going through it again, those who went through such chaos during the apartheid era, it's kind of like saying hi to an old friend who you don't really miss. Yeah, yeah. There's definitely, I would imagine, it's like a sense of, oh, I've been here before, and I didn't like it the first time. Kind of like someone who is scared to go, is scared of heights, and went to like a roller coaster, and they weren't a fan of the first trip. Then they told them to go back on the same thing. Yeah, it's almost like that, I would say. But I would definitely say that there's definitely great potential for things to get worse, so much worse. And unfortunately, there's a thing in our country that many of us aren't well versed in such things in terms of reading up on histories of the history of the world in terms of like certain places, how things get so rotten there, like in Libya, in Venezuela, Cuba, old Russia, the Soviets, USSR. Yeah, that's the word. Well, me being a curious person, a very curious person, I have read up on such things. I'm not an expert at it in any way, but I have read some things here and there, watched some videos of people who are experts at it. That doesn't make me one, of course, but I have an understanding of sorts in terms of like what times like these have the potential of meaning, um, which is basically that what will be happening more often is that there will be many of us, well, all of us will be tested, you know, definitely be tested because there are many of us who have virtues in our head, right? In terms of how we think we are and how good of a person we claim to be, right? And there's a quote that I like um, from Warren Buffett that says, "Everybody is a genius in a bull market." Now that's and I apply that to like just life in general in terms of everybody can be seen as perfect when times are good, right? I mean, because when there are good times, it's very easy for people to say that they are one way, but then when it comes to times when they tested, they might turn out to be another way, and that can definitely be possible for many people, right? I mean, human beings, we can be we can be our greatest allies and our worst enemies, and that's all we have right now in terms of this situation here. Only thing we that our that my people have here is just each other, and we can be our worst enemies or our greatest allies. I mean, this is when it's most important for us to not just be close in terms of forming a team or squad or going to our own areas and just like saying this is where we will make our stand and no one's gonna come and do the looting thing that they're doing in other places, but more of a thing of just of looking at each other and saying that we have been seeing a lot of things happening to our country. There is a lot of there's a lot of pride that we may have of this land, and with that pride will come pain from actually having to deal with experiencing all of this here, and we have to try do our best to make sure that we do not lose our sense of self in times like these. The whole idea of a camaraderie, um, is definitely going to be very vital for all of this, not just on a personal level, but that's what's going to be driving our economy forward, right? Because I noticed that even though things are happening on the streets, mainly in KZN and Gauteng, that's why I seem to be seeing where lots of the where, where lots of these things are happening at. They might spread to other places as well, right? But for now, it seems to be concentrated in those two areas. Oh, and by the way, with it being concentrated in, oh, by the way, I live in KZN, right? So um I'm seeing and hearing a lot of uh of situations of people actually feeling so many mixed emotions, right? Because any kind of experience similar to this is, it's hard for many people, as I've already stated, right? And with my take on all of this, it's like, while I said in the beginning, it's not too surprising this is happening. Just I didn't wish it be so soon, but I can't control that. But I personally find this all to be interesting. Yeah, that's what I can say, because I've read so much about countries going through these things, the ones I've already listed, and to watch this happen in front of my eyes is, it makes it more real. Yeah, because reading it is another thing, and to experience it is, it's another beast entirely. And to actually see people just to watch people experience a thing of realizing that things are in such little control, that they have such little control, especially over their own lives, because so many people are losing jobs. They are unable to go take care of their families. Um, some of their properties are burning down. Some of their loved ones are being hurt, going to hospital, or worse, dying. I wouldn't be surprised if suicide rate would also increase, or drug use to also increase. Um, but those narratives might be selectively shown on the news, right? They won't be shown at the same time, but they will be like shown at different occasions, because, well, with news being so limited in its format, they can only show so much, and so much shock value to show off. And well, when I have a when I try to see the potential of the news, and showing it from the perspective, when thinking about this from the perspective of um, a, a purely logical businessman who's involved in media, well, mainstream media anyways, like ecbc, I would think that it's like, okay, a lot of we have a lot of drama here, so we are able, since we have such a large amount of product, I would say, then we can be able to go and present. We don't have to do a thing of presenting the whole product at once, but we can just chop it up and then present a different a parts of it, right? So, a with thing of people feeling lost, the thing recently coming out of children, of a child being saved by a lady, by throwing her over a build by throwing her over a building, to be caught by the arms of some people who were on the ground floor, um, and stuff like that, and things like that being pushed, just like of the looting and people and the experience in it. Then afterwards, it'll probably be a whole thing of, excuse me, a thing of, well, definitely a thing of the drug use being ever ever so highly spiked. The Obviously the affordable ones, like alcohol. I would say weed will also be used more, Um, in general, just that the drugs we already have here will probably be used more, right? And with prices of things increasing too, because I'm pretty sure that inflation, of course, will come and hit us. How hard, that would depend on how quickly we manage to recover and how bad the consequences are of all of this. That will probably be a thing of like the basics, or uh, will probably cost more than expected, resulting in some of us having to do things we might not be proud of. I would imagine stuff like that happening. Probably some mothers having to um, do an unfortunate thing of sleeping with well, single mothers anyway, sleeping with men for the ability to go and like provide for her children, which was already happening because, well, over 50% of us don't have jobs. So I would assume things like that were already happening, but it's probably gonna be even worse because it's gonna now, instead of it being for the luxury stuff, it's gonna be for just the basic things: bread, milk, clothes for the children and stuff, so on and so forth. Yeah. With the whole thing of the chaos erupting here, it's definitely gonna be oof, it's definitely gonna be a rough one. That's for sure. Um, but as for like what I think about all of this, I must say it's, to me, definitely has telltale signs of it being planned. This thing is, what I've noticed in history anyways, is that when there's a situation like this on a national scale, while at first it may seem unorganized, wild, chaotic, there, oh, and also being done by people who feel like they're voiceless and are in are in desperation of something happening in their life because of how horrible it is. Poverty, being unable to go and there's a quote, well, not a quote, but there's a thing that I was watching about. There's a video watching about a guy saying that when a person doesn't have a dignity of earning, when a person doesn't have the dignity of labor, that does affects them deeply. And I think that's also what's happening here, right? I'm pretty sure like a bunch of these people who going out and looting, while A, don't have, feel like they don't have any other option, B, are taking the opportunity since they're seeing so much of it's happening, seeing this as a free for all, and C, definitely some people who are probably financially motivated to do this. Like, with the whole thing of it being planned, whoever is, well, involved in orchestrating this, they are they are some troubled souls, like dark people. Not dark as in my skin tone, but like some evil and dangerous people, man. Whoever is involved in this thing, being not necessarily those who are inciting it, but those who A, thought of it, and B, um helped structure the idea of like, we must do this for these reasons. Whoever's involved in doing that, they are some dangerous people, man. Cause because they're aware of the end goal of all of this. Like, they know what the intent is, but deep down they probably know that what they want to do all of this is a risky bet, a risky one. because obviously those who would be involved in planning this are just doing a thing of taking the power of the government and basically overthrowing it, and they want to be the ones in charge, right? But like the stomach of chaos, it can't be satisfied easily. So with them opening up such gates of hell in a way, they themselves they themselves they might not have any ideas to what implications or what's gonna happen to them with them doing all of this. Because there's a guy I watch called Dr. Jordan Peterson who says in all of his life as being a psychologist or psychoanalyst, um, he with him having clients who come to him for assistance for whatever issue they have, he has never seen anyone get away with anything ever in his career. So if there's a thing of that, just in general, that there's a form of justice that exists beyond our comprehension, that means that whoever was involved in inciting this, I have no idea what can happen, but man, it's not gonna be fun for them. I mean, so many things can happen to them, things that they think that are unfair for them, but it's gonna be rough for them, that's for sure. And as for who's involved, theories can pop up, many theories can pop up, but at the end of the day, I don't know personally. I can't say I have evidence to prove this person was here. People have been tweeting, of course, saying that this must carry on, let it all burn, whatever, but those are just tweets anyway. They may not mean that they were directly involved, but they were inciting it, but only they know. Only those who are responsible for this are definitely, they're the ones who know. And they're the ones who will probably get hurt most out of everyone. And if they live long enough to have a natural passing, then there will definitely be a case of the sins of the father will be carried by the son. Probably a situation like that. Maybe, I mean, I've read enough history to see a pattern like this, where like the person who does bad, and if they get away with it in some way, then the child or family has to bear the burden of the consequences. But yeah, man. And then of course, thought I turn this off. But yeah, that's just my take. Might be a little confusing because I might have been scattered in terms of my points, but hey, I said what I said. But what I can say is, to anyone who is South African watching this, hey, stay strong. Don't focus on what's happening outside. Focus on what you can do for yourself and your family, and for those close by. Just focus on what you can do. It's easy to be worried about things you can't control now. In fact, anyone who's just like watching this in a position that is in a rough place or is also facing something as similar as us, because I know other countries right now are also going through some stuff. Just try to focus on what you can do and what's in your control. It's easy to be so overwhelmed by the information overload of what's happening around you. You maybe can be blindsided in terms of seeing what you can do. especially important to see what you can and can't do, and then to not pay attention to what you can't do. That's the hard part. That's gonna be the hardest part. Yeah. But yeah, try to stay safe and good luck to those who make it.